Okay, now that everything's out of the box, we're going to assemble the pieces. Before we do that, there are just a couple things you'll need. A screwdriver, your very own Raspberry Pi, an SD card flashed with the operating system of your choice, and an SSD, that is the mSATA form factor. We'll start with the hardest part first, and that is attaching the IPEX connector on the Wi-Fi module. If you look at the top of the CSB502SSD shield, the Wi-Fi module is this little board here, and you'll see the circular gold connector which mates with the connector at the end of the Wi-Fi antenna. This doesn't take a lot of pressure, but it's easy to misalign, so don't press too hard, and you'll feel it when it goes in. That one popped in rather easily. You may notice that the Wi-Fi module flexes down a little bit. That's okay. Now that that's on there, the next thing I'd like to do is attach the standoffs. So we have 8 big screws here and 4 standoffs. These go on the bottom of the CSB502 SSD. It's pretty easy to just hold the screw in and thread on the standoff. Okay, now that we have those 4 standoffs in, take out the Raspberry Pi. We want to have the Raspberry Pi on the bottom and line up the pins on the 40-pin connector. Once those are lined up, I like to use just 2 thumbs right here, pop it on. Once those are attached, you can screw on the bottom standoff screws. And with those screwed in, you may want to just tighten the top screws a little bit. Moving right along, we'll insert our USB jumper here. The small connector goes into the port on the shield, and the large connector into one of the Raspberry Pi USB ports. Now we can attach the SSD. Here, this is a Kingrich brand. You just want to look for the notch in between the pins and line that up with the connector. So for this one, the label ends up facing down. We're going to use our 2 smaller screws to tighten that down. All right. Now, if you look at our guides, you'll see that there is a way to mount the USB drive as the root file system, but unfortunately the Pi can't boot from it, so you will need an SSD card. Everything's all set, and we can power on the Pi. So all of the power for the Pi is fed through the shield, and there's no need for an additional power source attached to the Pi directly. I just plug in the power jack, and you should be good to go.